I wouldn't have believed it unless I saw it myself. The Lakers finally made a trade. But was it the right move? Let's talk about it. Before we get started, if you guys can do me a huge favor and drop a like on the video to support the channel, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future Lakers, NBA, and other sports content. So it was officially reported by Shams himself that the Los Angeles Lakers have traded D'Angelo Russell for Dorian Finney-Smith. The trade included Maxwell Lewis and 3 second-round picks, which will obviously go to the Brooklyn Nets, in return for Dorian Finney-Smith and Shake Milton. I'm going to be completely honest with you. I had to look up who Shake Milton was. I just wasn't familiar. But from what I can see, he's a 6'5" guard. He has a 7-foot wingspan, which is great. And he seems to be a young, progressing player. But I think what this does is it adds flexibility to the Lakers. I mean, we get a young, hopefully point of attack kind of defender / guard who is athletic and kind of versatile. Basically similar to Gabe Vincent, but just a little bit taller, greater wingspan. I think a little bit more of an upside in terms of what they're looking for from that combo guard / playmaking and point of attack defender. But what this also does is it actually gives the Lakers flexibility within the roster to move Gabe Vincent's contract. Okay, one of their concerns in the trade market was that they were losing their depth in terms of versatility with guards and those tweeners that can kind of play multiple positions. So obviously with the addition of Dorian Finney-Smith, he can play the 2 and the 3. Occasionally, if you want to really go small ball, he can play the 4. I believe Dorian Finney-Smith is about 6'7". But I think primarily he'll rotate between that 2 and 3 spot. But then with a guy like Shake Milton, he can come off the bench and really be that point of attack defender at the 1, and can also switch and maybe provide a little hassle to some of those offensive 2 guards as well. So overall, I think this was a great move. It did come as a surprise to me, honestly. I mean, considering how the trade market has gone for the Lakers over the past few seasons, the fact that they're making a move like this, I wasn't expecting anything until closer to the trade deadline, if anything at all. But I'm really glad that they decided to pull the trigger on a trade instead of just waiting too long, so that way some of these assets that are out in the market and can really help us get back to championship contention, they don't go wasted and sign with another team. So got to give Rob Pelinka props on this one. This was a strong move and hopefully one of a few more to come. For those of you who are not familiar with Dorian Finney-Smith, he's an NBA veteran. He's about 31 years old, and he's been in the league since 2016. He's a solid 6'7", about 220 pounds, so he's kind of your prototypical 3-and-D guy. He's strong, he's physical, he can guard multiple positions on the perimeter, and for his career, he's shooting about 36% from 3, but for this season, he's actually averaging about 44% from 3, which is good, and that's on just about 5 attempts per game. His field goal percentage is not bad either. For this season, he's at about 46%. So overall, he's having a strong season, and if these numbers continue, he's pretty much exactly what the Lakers need. That tough, physical 3-and-D wing to pair alongside Anthony Davis and LeBron James, and to help balance our backcourt play as well. Now, I think this was a solid move, but I think we can all agree that this move alone doesn't bring us anywhere near close to contending for a championship. So what does this mean for the Lakers, not only in terms of the trade market, but currently as constructed, what's the new starting 5? In terms of the starting 5, that's interesting. I think JJ and the coaching staff can approach this from a few directions. One, we can leave the starting 5 as is. So it'll be AR, Max, Rui, Bron, and AD. And then you can have a player like Dorian Finney-Smith coming off the bench. However, I don't think you trade for a player like Dorian Finney-Smith, especially with how he's playing and with the defensive presence that you need probably in that starting 5. You don't trade for a guy like that just to bring him off the bench. So this tells me that, one, either somebody else is getting traded, which in my opinion is a good thing, or Rui Hachimura or Max Christie are going to the bench. If I had to choose, I would probably send Rui to the bench. Rui, in my opinion, is somebody who is a little bit frustrating just because of his play. His play has been so inconsistent. With his size, too, for him to be as weak as he is defensively, I think that's another red flag. I like Rui, I do. I like his approach to the game. I don't think he's a bad player whatsoever, and I don't think he's bad for the locker room. But in terms of competing for a championship, I would rather take a guy like Dorian Finney-Smith over a guy like Rui Hachimura. Rui Hachimura has a few green flags. He's definitely younger, and from what we've seen, he has more. He has a larger offensive output, which is why I think bringing him off the bench won't be a bad idea. But I'm not trading Max Christie. That's not going to happen. Max Christie, since being inserted into the starting lineup, the Lakers are 5-1. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that he brings such a defensive presence to the starting five. He's very young. A lot of people forget that. Max Christie is only, I think, 21 years old. So he still has a tremendous amount of growth in his game. And he's already becoming a very good perimeter defender. With age, a little bit more strength, and just wisdom, he's going to become an elite perimeter defender. And he's already knocking down threes at an efficient clip. So I'm not saying that Max Christie should start, not at this point of his career. Max Christie starting as your 2, you're not a championship contender. But what I am saying is I value Max Christie to this Lakers team more than I value Rui Hachimura. So I personally would send Rui to the bench. And to be perfectly honest, I would try to include him in a trade. I would try to get another potentially all-star caliber player to pair alongside Austin Reeves. And then I would let DFS run the 3, keep LeBron at the 4, AD at the 5. So just a quick rundown, right? You have AR starting at your point. We'll get a high-level all-star caliber-ish 2, DFS at the 3, Bron at the 4, AD at the 5. Your bench, you still have Dalton Connect. You'll still have Max Christie. We still have Shake Milton. We still have Cam Reddish, Jackson Hayes, and of course, Christian Wood or Jared Vanderbilt if and when they come back healthy. So now we turn to the trade market. Who can we bring in that can really elevate that starting 5 to championship level contention? And who can we bring in to complete our roster and solidify the bench to where we are really a legitimate threat in the West? Now, if you're a subscriber and you've been following my content, you already know the person I had my eye on the most to raise this team up as much as possible was Zach LaVine, which is why I was a little hesitant on the DFS trade to begin with, because with that trade, you can pretty much kiss Zach LaVine goodbye. I don't think we can make the contract work. So Zach LaVine's out the window. And a lot of people weren't a big fan of that anyway, but I was. And I put out some pretty good content explaining why. If you want to go back to my channel and check it out, feel free to do so. But what's left? Okay, we got DFS, so we have our quote-unquote 3-and-D wing. How can we round out that starting 5? The name that comes to mind is Cam Johnson. Because again, ideally, you want to improve, you want to upgrade your backcourt. Okay, we have Austin Reeves at the 1. I know a lot of people are hesitant on that. I'm not. I'm not hesitant on Austin Reeves being at the 1. I'm comfortable with him and what he brings to the table, especially with how he's playing recently. But I do think we still need that 2 guard that can really elevate our backcourt to the next level. Somebody like Cam Johnson can do that. But again, we kind of just gave away our most valuable contract in terms of trade proposals. D'Lo was making $18 million and it was expiring. So any type of big move, you know what I mean? So like a Zach LaVine, for example, I was hoping that contract would go towards Zach LaVine's salary and trade option, but unfortunately that's not happening. So will the Nets be willing to take on someone like maybe Rui Hachimura? I don't know. That's, and again, I have to play around with the trade machine a little bit too to kind of see if the salaries work. But Cam Johnson, in terms of a guard play, that comes to mind, or and also a backup big, and that's something that we all agree on. We need a backup big for sure. Whether it's Valanciunas, we can still go after Walker Kessler if the Utah Jazz can make him available. That's something that we should still be looking into. And yes, he's worth 2 first-round picks. So we didn't give up any first-round picks for DFS, which is really good. But in order to make that work, it would have to be like a Jalen Hood-Schifino and 2 first-rounders if the Jazz still want to, put him on the market, which rumor has it they don't. But you never know with Danny Ainge. He's funny like that. You know what I mean? So again, I have to play around with the trade machine and kind of see what we can explore, because I like this move, but this wasn't the move. Hopefully this is one of a few moves to kind of really take us to the next level. But if this is it, I mean, I'm sorry, we may have gotten a little bit better, but we're nowhere near championship contention as is. So let me know what you guys think. We finally made a trade. That's exciting news for Lakers fans. Rob Pelinka, he made something happen. So that alone is exciting. It's fun. And it is good news because we did slightly get better. But where do we go from here? Let me know in the comments what you guys think. Do you agree with the move? Do you disagree with it? And I'll try to keep you guys as updated as possible. But thank you so much for watching. As always, I genuinely appreciate your support. And I'll catch you on the next video. Here.